Yo, 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 what's that word? This is the 32 Inning Podcast. I'm your host, Broderick. We about to knock it out the park. We got a lot to get into today, so let's get right into it. So today, for episode 5, milestone episode, we're going to be talking about the NFL's my projected division winners in each division. So I'm not going to get too deep into it. We're going to talk about the key additions, why I think that's going to have a big swing on the winners. And we're also going to talk about the runners up. So we're not going to go over each team by team prediction or record prediction. We're going to get into that into later episode as the season gets closer. It's a long off seasons. So without further ado, we're going to start off with our first division. That's the AFC East. I have the Bills winning the AFC East. Their big key addition was Von Miller. Obviously, I think he's going to help out a lot with the pass rush, but even probably more so in the locker room with the veteran presence. The Bills seem like a team that they're right there knocking on the door. They got all the talent, and they're just waiting to get over that hump. And obviously, when you have a two-time Super Bowl champion like Von Miller, he can be the example for getting that final step to being Super Bowl champions, especially while Josh Allen is still on his rookie deal. I think it's also a huge thing with them losing Brian Daboll to the New York Giants. They got Mr. Dorsey in there to be the new offensive coordinator. Good thing he's been the quarterback coach with Josh. I don't think much is going to change about the language that they use or how he's being taught. He has a certain trust with the guy. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to run away with the division this year. For the runner-up, I had the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins won 9 games last year after starting out horrible. Of course, they got a new head coach, but he's an offensive-minded head coach, comes from the Shanahan coaching tree. I personally have a lot of trust in him. Not a lot of trust in Tua, but they did put everything around him to be successful. And that brings me to my key addition for the runner-up in the AFC East, Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill. As we know, probably the fastest player in the league, probably has been the fastest player to enter the league in a long while, veteran receiver, great hands, runs great routes, was Patrick Mahomes' favorite target over the years, has been an all-pro player in multiple positions. He's going to add a lot. And plus, they got Jalen Waddle returning. He was the number one receiver in Miami last year. I think with him now being guarded by the second best corner or Tariq being bracketed, he's going to have a lot more open field, which is scary. He went over 1,000 yards last year. They just got a lot of good things going for him. And they picked up a lot of speed overall for this team. So I can see Miami winning double-digit games this year. I think that should be the expectation. I think this is make-or-break year for Tua. And I think he's going to have moderate success. I think he's going to have a decent year and maybe elevate himself to the top 15 of quarterbacks. Moving on, we have the AFC North. For the winner of this division, I had the Bengals. This is always a hard division to pick because it seems like the teams been flipping over the past 5 or so years. But, the Bengals are coming off of a Super Bowl run. Joe Burrow, I believe in him, very poised, accurate quarterback. And he was doing all of this without a great offensive line, to put it kindly. That brings me to the key addition for the Bengals, Lyell Collins from the Dallas Cowboys. Collins had his troubles, but overall he's a good, solid young tackle. Maybe not in the top 5 in the league, but an argument can be made for the top 10 to 12 right tackles in the league. I think it's going to be great for Joe. They also got Alex Cappa from the Buccaneers. There's going to be a lot of improvement on this offensive line. And I think, like a lot of other people, that was the only thing holding them back. Obviously, they got great production from Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. So I think this offense is ready to explode. They might put up the most points per game in the NFL next year. But you guys got to catch that in later episodes when I talk about my prediction for the offenses in the league. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. 32 Inning Podcast. Now we got the runner-up for the AFC North, and that would, for me, would be the Ravens. As a lot of people know, the Ravens had the worst injury luck in the NFL last year. They went through a lot of significant injuries, just a lot of turmoil. And pay Lamar. It's about time you pay that man. He's league MVP. There's no reason why he should be posting this stuff on Twitter about how he needs his money and stuff like that. Pay that man. He deserves his money. But for the key addition for the Ravens, I actually had Kyle Hamilton. I think personally Kyle Hamilton was the best player in the draft. I watched him a lot at Notre Dame. He covers the entire area of the field. Such a sure tackler, strong tackler. I think he's going to help out Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters a lot because I think they'll be able to gamble more, go for more interceptions, and actually make more plays. Because he's such a security blanket, you really didn't have to worry about much when he was back there. It always seemed like he was in the right place and where he was supposed to be at all times. Plus, he's coming from a great institution in Notre Dame. They had a great coaching staff with Marcus Freeman leading the charge and Brian Kelly. So that's my key addition for the Ravens. Now we move on to the AFC South. We have the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. For the Titans, my key addition was Robert Woods from the Rams. Of course, he's coming off an injury, but Robert Woods was a great addition because he's a great route runner. Of course, with them losing A.J. Brown, there's going to be targets there that need to be absorbed. And I know they drafted Treylon Burks in the first round from that pick from the Eagles from the A.J. Brown trade. But I think Robert Woods is going to receive a lot of those touches. They also released Julio Jones, so they're kind of restarting in the receiver core. So I think he's going to be a very strong addition to the team, a veteran presence. And he's a good possession receiver. He got nice size on him. And, again, run crisp, great, strong routes, precise. For the runner-up in the AFC South, I had the Colts. The Colts, I think they have a chance to actually overtake the Titans this year. I think, obviously, Matt Ryan is an upgrade over Carson Wentz. The Colts fell apart down the stretch. There's no other way to put it. They fell apart down the stretch, but they did make a lot of good additions to their roster. My key addition for the Colts was Yannick Ngakoue from the Raiders. I think he's going to help Kwity Paye a lot and DeForest Buckner. They're obviously going to take up the bulk of the offensive attention as far as blocking assignments and giving Yannick more one-on-one opportunities. I think he should be expected to flourish in that type of setting. He's also better than his size would suggest against the run. I think this Colts defense just has a lot of improvements to it. They made a lot of improvements on the offensive end as well. And this Colts team is dangerous. Jonathan Taylor, obviously, in my opinion, the best running back in the league. I think that the Colts and Titans are going to battle this out throughout the year, and it's going to come down to who wins the head-to-head matchups, and not losing to the Titans. Not losing to the Jaguars, and not losing to the Jaguars or Texans in none of those games. They should be able, Titans and the Colts should be able to sweep all of those games. So it's going to come down to the head-to-head matchups in my division, in my opinion. For the next division, we have the AFC West. I know a lot of people aren't going to like what I have to say about this. I know they're not. But for the winner, I actually have the Chargers. I think the Chargers are one of the most improved teams of the offseason. It was very hard to come up with the best key addition. I loved their drafting of Zion Johnson in the first round. Strong Boston College guard. Got to watch him up close a little bit this year. But my key addition for the Chargers was J.C. Jackson, former cornerback for the Patriots. Obviously, double-digit interceptions in the past 2 years. Strong player. He actually played at Immokalee High School, which is close to my hometown. So I got to watch him up close in high school and throughout his journey in college and throughout New England, his time in New England. but they have a strong defense and secondary overall with Derwin James, Florida State grad, Asante Samuel Jr., another Florida State grad. He's coming back off an injury. I think they're going to be very strong in the secondary, and the reason it was so hard to pick is because they also added Khalil Mack, one of the best edge rushers we've seen in the league over the past 2 decades. Him with Joey Bosa. They got a couple problems in the middle as far as the defensive tackles, but they also got a strong linebacking core. But J.C. Jackson is going to be a great addition. Teams are probably going to try to target Asante or Bryce Callahan in the slot, which is a mistake. Asante is going to be a great corner. I see a Pro Bowl future for him. So it's going to be hard to score in this team, and they're going to do a lot of scoring. I expect Justin Herbert to ascend. I don't think he's going to surpass Patrick Mahomes as the best quarterback in the division, but he has a strong case for being the number 2 quarterback in the division. And I just think the Chargers, they have a chance to win it all next year. I'm putting a lot of faith in the Chargers. Now, this is why I say y'all going to really hate me. For the second place team, in my opinion, in the AFC West, it's going to be the Broncos. I know y'all going to hate me because I did not say the Chiefs, but hear me out. The Broncos, I have a lot of faith in Russell Wilson. The guy just knows how to win. He's been in the playoffs every season except 2 out of his career with the Seahawks. He's going to open up a lot of playmaking opportunities for Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, and their other receivers. And I expect Javonte Williams to catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. I think they're just going to have a lot of success on the offense. They have a strong offensive line, strong running game. Remember, they won 7 games last year with Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock throwing the ball. With all due respect to them, Russell Wilson is a massive Super Bowl winning quarterback upgrade. So I expect a lot from the Broncos this year. They also have a young defense returning, Patrick Surtain and Bradley Chubb being a leader of that, along with the addition of Randy Gregory. So obviously, again, my key addition was Russell Wilson. And again, this is probably the strongest division in the entire NFL. I understand the Raiders grabbing up Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones and improving on what they already had. They had a couple players out with injuries. This division is going to be a bloodbath. It's really hard to choose who's going to come out on top. I think they're going to dominate the rest of the teams that they play, but the division battles obviously are going to be the toughest games on their schedule. And like the rest of the fans of the NFL, I'm really excited to see what this division does as a whole. But next we're going to move on to the NFC, and we're going to start off with the NFC East. So the winner of the NFC East, in my opinion, is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, they had a decent season last year, making the playoffs, sliding in. But I think they were young. They weren't ready. But I respect the front office for saying, hey, we want to put a team out there that can win. We feel like we're ready to take the next step. And we saw that with their key addition of A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is going to take a lot of attention away from Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins, 2 very fast, slenderly built receivers. But they do run great crisp routes, and I think, they faced a lot of coverages. They were the most run-heavy team last year. They also have tight end Dallas Goedert. And A.J. Brown is going to help open up the playbook a lot. He's a great possession receiver, deep threat. He does it all. Top 5 receiver in the league, has been that way for the past 3 years. He was an extremely strong addition. And I don't think they gave up as much as people want to equate it to. Like a first-round pick, sure, I understand. But we all know any dart you throw in the draft is a guess. They're getting a proven commodity, a guy that's been a Pro Bowl in the All-Pro teams the last couple of years. They're getting something they already know. Of course, they had to pay him a big contract, 4 years, $100 million. But they get the benefit of the doubt for me because they're not currently paying a high price for a quarterback. So they're building the team the right way before they ultimately pay Jalen Hurts or choose to go in a different direction. So the runner-up in the NFC East for me is the Dallas Cowboys. The the story of the Dallas Cowboys was this season they lost so much. They lost a lot of talent, and of course they're relying on the youngsters to take over. But I think the Cowboys take a step back. Unfortunately, I don't think the Washington football team or the New York Giants are good enough to overtake them. So I still have them as the runner-up, but the key addition for me for the Dallas Cowboys was in the draft, and that was the drafting of Tyler Smith. I think Tyler Smith is going to take over for Connor Williams, who went to the Miami Dolphins. He's currently in a camp battle with Connor McGovern. Even if he doesn't win, I expect him to play a lot of snaps. Dallas Cowboys have experienced. They have a good offensive line, but some of them are injury prone, so I do expect this rookie to play some. Massive human being out of Tulsa, 6'6", 325. So I think we're going to see him on the field. I think there's going to be growing pains, but I think he's going to progress. Obviously, with as much talent as this team has accumulated over the years, they're probably going to lose some in every offseason due to the fact that you have to pay these veterans. And, I got a lot of faith in Dallas's drafting. They've been drafting really well over the years, and I think this is going to be another hit for them. Moving on, we're moving to the NFC North, which I like the Packers to win, actually. The Packers, obviously, they got a top 3 quarterback in the league, Aaron Rodgers. They did lose a lot, too. I think they're very similar to the Cowboys in that they lost a lot. They got a lot of production to replace, especially the loss of Devontae Adams. And because of that, I think their key off-season addition was Sammy Watkins. Me and Sammy Watkins are the same hometown. Been watching him since South Fort Myers to Clemson to the NFL. I understand he's been through a lot of injuries, but he had good production as number 2 receiver, especially when he was playing with Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs. Had that spectacular play on Richard Sherman in the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, at least a top 3 receiver for Aaron Rodgers this year, if not the number 1 receiver. Obviously, they drafted Christian Watkins in the 2nd round. He's a nice young player when you watch his film, Allen Lazard. But I think that Sammy, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have one of the best years of his career. This is the most accurate quarterback he's played with, in my opinion. I won't say the best, but I'll say the most accurate quarterback he's played with, an offensive system that always produces good receiving numbers. And I got a lot of faith in Sammy this year to wake up some people because I feel like people really sleeping on him. Okay, next we're going to move on to the NFC South. Not yet. Before we do that, the runner-up I had, sorry about that, for the NFC North was the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Vikings, obviously, they got young running back Dalvin Cook, Florida State graduate. They got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, a nice young defense. The key addition for them was Andrew Booth Jr., long cornerback from Clemson, listed at 6 foot, over 200 pounds, shutdown cornerback, nice wingspan on him. Good athleticism. I like this film a lot. I think he gives up some plays sometimes, but I think we're learning with a veteran presence like Patrick Peterson around him, teach him the ply of the NFL game. I think he's going to get up to speed. They also got another solid young cornerback over there, so maybe even he plays in the slot, him or Pat. But I think this team could surprise some people. But again, I mean, the teams behind them are really in no position to catch up to them to be the runner-up. Those teams being the Bears and Lions, I just don't see them progressing enough to overtake the Vikings as the number 2 team in the division. Decent division overall. So now we can move on to the NFC South. I think the Buccaneers are going to win this division overwhelmingly. Obviously, they had the retirement and reinstatement, I guess, or return of Tom Brady, who was my key off-season addition for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, this team still has a lot of veteran talent from their Super Bowl run. A lot of players chose to come play for them, to have the chance to play with the greatest football player of all time, Tom Brady. I don't think this division is going to be much of a hassle to win at all. Obviously, they had the retirement of Rob Gronkowski, but they already had, even before they got Gronk, they already had good potential and good players at tight end. With OJ Howard and Cameron Brate, I like this team overall. I think they're the strongest team in the division. Solid defense with Devin White leading it. So, with saying that, we're going to move on to the Saints. I think the Saints are a really solid team. I think Jameis Winston is going to be a surprise to a lot of people. I think Jameis gets taken for a joke sometimes. And I think they kind of disrespect him and not give him the credit he needs because everybody is holding on to the negatives when it comes to Jameis. As far as his 30 interceptions, I still think people aren't taking him for the talent that this guy truly is, especially with Michael Thomas returning, Alvin Kamara returning. They got a lot of returning production. And with the drafting of Chris Olave, he's going to have all the weapons that he needs. A strong offensive line. We know the Saints are known for great drafting, a strong defense. I just don't see a way that they end up behind the rebuilding Falcons and the Carolina Panthers, who are struggling with their quarterback play. Even though Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, was a good addition, I don't think he's enough to overtake the Saints. I understand Sean Payton retired, and we have to see how this offense is going to perform, but the talent is there. They just need to be coached up and schemed right, and I think that's going to put them in a great position. So finally, our last division is going to be the NFC West. We have the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, who I think are going to win the division. The Rams, just overall, if you look at their starting lineup, they really have no weaknesses in the sense of they don't have a player who you wouldn't want out there if it, like, you know what I'm saying, like if an injury occurred, then maybe you have problems, but they don't have like injury replacement players out there. They have solid starters at every position, along with superstar players like Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson. They have a lot of just solid pieces. And as we know, the key addition that I put for the Los Angeles Rams was Bobby Wagner. A Hall of Fame caliber linebacker for the Seahawks, got released. He's going to do a lot for their young linebacking core and for the defense overall. Defense didn't have much trouble, but Bobby Wagner's really going to help them out defending the run and the pass, but more on the run because losing Von Miller, obviously they're going to lose some production off of the edge, but I feel like with the addition of Bobby Wagner, he's going to help them offset a lot of that production. Obviously, we know he reads the field very well, whether that's the pass or the run. He's a strong tackler, gets a lot of fumbles, a lot of fumble recoveries. He's always around the ball. Him and Eric Donald are going to make it difficult for the running backs and tight ends to really do anything when they're both in the game. Obviously, they're going to play a lot of snaps, veteran team. If I had to make a pick today, I would probably pick the Rams to repeat as Super Bowl champions. I think this is a big addition. Obviously, Allen Robinson is a huge difference maker. Former number one receiver for the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars. He played a lot of snaps, but I think people are underrating him too. Like, because of the offense he was in, he was dealing with a rookie quarterback, and before that, there's a lot of quarterback turnover and just a bad head coaching situation, not a great offense. Allen Robinson, he runs strong routes. I think he's a great possession receiver, and I think he's going to be probably a top 3 number 2 receiver in the NFL next year with how much attention Cooper Kupp is going to get. Obviously, they have Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson in the backfield. Those guys are a nice tandem. They're going to have to place Andre Whitworth at left tackle. But obviously, the Rams have a solid succession plan, and I think they're going to be pretty decent. And like I said, I predict them to repeat. And with saying that, we're moving on to my runner-up in the division. And for me, that's going to be the San Francisco 49ers. Now, for me, a huge part of me wanted to go with the Cardinals. A huge part of me wanted to go with the Cardinals, but I think the loss of Chandler Jones and DeAndre Hopkins missing the first 6 games of the season, I think that's going to take a huge toll on their offense, defense, and veteran leadership. And I think the 49ers just have a great defense. They have a great young defense. And, of course, the biggest question of them all is how Trey Lance is going to perform at quarterback. If they're able to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, I think that would be a great – probably he's the best backup quarterback in the NFL. But Trey Lance is going to show a lot of identity of this team. He doesn't have to do much. They have a strong running game. Trey Lance just has to move the chain and don't make mistakes. Obviously it was great for him to get a redshirt season under his belt. I think he's going to perform decent. He has a strong arm. Didn't really get to see him much when he was playing in North Dakota State, but obviously highly regarded, number 3 overall pick. Kyle Shanahan really believed in him. It seems to be a good scheme for him where he doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all for the team. He's going to have a lot of support. Hopefully the 49ers can re-sign Deebo Samuels, number 1 receiver. Obviously, that's a great piece to have already in place for a young quarterback who's getting reps with him right now in practice in the summertime, building that chemistry. Maybe they built up some over last year. Trey seems to be a player that's dedicated to being great. And, again, they got this young defense. Obviously, the return to Nick Bosa had a good season last year. D Ford. But the key addition for me for the 49ers was Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson, I don't think in most people's eyes he's lived up to the potential at USC. I think that had a lot to do with the coaching staff and how they were utilizing the players. And I think that due to his athleticism and his frame and the coaching he's going to receive from the 49ers coaching staff, it's going to make a huge difference. D Ford isn't expected to return, and even if he does return, he's coming off a major back injury that wasn't healing how the 49ers expected it to, per reports. He's coming along slowly, and I think it's going to be a camp battle if he does return to get a starting defensive end position opposite of Nick Bosa. But either way, he's not going to be Drake Jackson, isn't going to be facing as much pressure in the NFL as he was at USC due to the presence of Nick Bosa and Arik Armstead and Javon Kinlaw. They're going to have the focus of the blocking of the offense. So he's going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities, and I think his athleticism is going to really shine. And over the years, as his technique with his hand placement catches up, he's going to be a player to watch. I got a lot of faith in him. I think he's the key addition. Again, I really appreciate if you guys like, comment, subscribe. Put a lot of time into this. Visit Hattie'sCollection.com. They're our number 1 sponsor. I want to thank you guys for listening to episode 5 of the 32 Inning Podcast. This was a good one, and I hope y'all have a good day. Thank you.